The girl had never expected to leave Earth, but somehow, in the blink of an eye, she found herself aboard a massive spacecraft, traveling across stars she had only seen in books and dreams. She was small, but her presence was noticeable, almost magnetic. She didn't know why she had been summoned, or why the Galactic Council, an assembly of beings from countless worlds, had asked for her personally. All she knew was that she was nervous, but not afraid. She had grown up learning to face the unknown, and this was only another challenge, though on a scale she could hardly imagine. The moment she stepped into the Council's chamber, she felt the weight of countless eyes upon her. They were not human eyes. Some had multiple pupils, others glowed softly, and a few shimmered like liquid metal. All of them were studying her, calculating, judging. She tried not to look too intimidated, even though her heartbeat had sped up. The chamber itself was enormous, almost endless, with walls that seemed to shift colors and patterns. High above, a massive dragon-like creature hovered, its wings folding and unfolding with grace and strength. Its scales glimmered in shades she couldn't name, colors that seemed alive. Everyone in the room watched it as if it were the ultimate judge, and she realized it probably was. A low voice echoed throughout the chamber. It was not spoken aloud, but seemed to enter her mind directly, soft and commanding at the same time. The council was addressing her. She understood the words in her mind, though they came from creatures she had never seen. They said that she had broken a law, one that no human had ever known existed, and that she must face the ceremony of separation. She frowned, unsure what that meant, but she kept her composure. She had learned early in life that fear often clouded judgment, and she needed her mind sharp if she wanted to survive whatever came next. The council explained that the ceremony was a symbolic act, not a punishment meant to harm her physically. Her identity crest, a small glowing object she had worn since her arrival on the ship, was to be removed. To humans, it seemed like a piece of jewelry, but to the council, it represented honor, identity, and the essence of one's being. To take it away was serious. If the crest were destroyed, she could be erased from the council's memory forever, a fate worse than death in their eyes. Her chest tightened at the thought, but she reminded herself that she had been chosen for a reason. She was not ordinary. Even if she did not yet know why, she felt something inside her, a spark of confidence that had carried her through every challenge before Dot as the attendants moved closer. She saw the dragon beast shift its massive head, its eyes narrowing slightly. It was calm, yet its presence filled the chamber with an energy she could feel in her bones. She could almost sense what it was thinking. The creature was enormous, taller than any building she had ever seen, with wings wide enough to block the light of the sun if it chose. Its tail curled slowly, tapping against the floor with a rhythm that seemed to echo in her chest. Despite its size and power, she did not feel fear. Instead, a strange sense of connection grew in her mind, as if the dragon were watching her not just with eyes, but with understanding. The council instructed her to step forward. Every movement felt slow, deliberate, and she could hear her own breathing in the quiet hum of the chamber. When she reached the center, the attendants carefully removed her crest. It glowed brighter than she remembered, pulsating with a life of its own. She felt a sudden emptiness as it left her head, but she held her chin high, refusing to show any sign of weakness. Around her, council members whispered among themselves, their voices a blend of curiosity, skepticism, and awe. The human girl, they murmured, had come so far and faced so much, yet she remained calm when others would have cowered. The crest was placed on a ceremonial platform before the dragon beast. The air shifted, charged with energy, and she could feel her heartbeat in her throat. Everyone expected the creature to destroy it, as tradition demanded. For centuries, the dragon had consumed the crests of those judged unworthy, absorbing their energy and marking their failure for all to see. But when it lowered its massive head toward her crest, nothing violent happened. Instead, the dragon hesitated, its eyes flickering with an emotion she couldn't name. The hum of the chamber changed, growing quieter, almost reverent. For the first time, the humans and aliens alike held their breath, waiting to see what would happen next. In that moment, she noticed something incredible. The dragon was not just looking at the crest. It seemed to be looking at her, as if it could see into her thoughts. And for a fraction of a second, she felt like she could see into its mind too. It was not just a beast of power and fear. It was intelligent, aware, and somehow it understood her. She felt a surge of calm wash over her. The fear she had felt before melted into curiosity, and she realized she could respond, not with words, but with intention. Slowly, she extended her hands toward the dragon. She did not touch it, but she sent out a feeling, an offering of respect, trust, and honesty. To her amazement, the dragon responded. Its enormous head lowered even further, and it exhaled a warm, gentle breath that made her hair lift slightly. Around the chamber, the council members began to murmur again, unsure what they were witnessing. Never before had a human shown such control or such connection with the dragon beast. They had expected defiance, fear, or destruction. Instead, they saw understanding, and that understanding seemed to reach across the boundaries of species and worlds. The girl realized that this moment was not about punishment. It was a test, though she didn't yet understand why. She had been summoned, accused, and judged, but the true purpose was revealing itself now. She had the ability to bridge gaps between beings who were different in ways she could hardly imagine. Her mind raced with possibilities. If she could communicate with the dragon, could she also communicate with the council in ways no one else could? Could she prevent conflict, misunderstandings, even wars, simply by understanding the creatures they relied upon? As the minutes stretched on, the dragon shifted again, its massive body moving with a grace that contradicted its immense size. She sensed approval now, a recognition that she had passed a part of the test no one else had ever faced. The council's whispers grew louder, but this time they were not of fear. They spoke of potential, of a new path, and perhaps even of hope. She did not yet know what the future held, but she understood one thing clearly. She had faced the unknown and had not been broken by it. Instead, she had found a connection that others thought impossible, a bridge between worlds, and that made her feel powerful in a way she had never imagined. Finally, the ceremony concluded, though the energy in the chamber remained charged. The dragon moved away from the crest, yet it did not leave. Instead, it settled nearby, as if waiting for her next move, for the next challenge, for the moment when she would prove that her presence here was not a mistake. She returned to her place in the chamber, her hands empty, her mind racing, yet her spirit calm. The human girl who had once been an outsider in an alien world had shown that courage, intelligence, and connection could overcome fear and expectation. And deep down, she knew this was only the beginning. From that moment, she understood that the galaxy was watching. Every whisper, every glance, every silent judgment would follow her. Yet she also understood that she was not just a human standing alone. She was a human with a purpose, one that stretched beyond the limits of Furworld and into the hearts and minds of beings she had only just begun to understand. The galaxy was vast, but for the first time, she felt like she belonged, not because she was like them, but because she had shown she could rise above fear, bridge divides, and touch the impossible. And as she looked at the dragon, still watching her with those incredible, unknowable eyes, she smiled slightly. Whatever came next, she would face it not as a victim, not as a criminal, but as someone capable of the extraordinary. The chamber was silent for a few moments, filled only with the soft hum of the dragon beast and the faint murmurs of the council members. The girl stood in the center, her crest still glowing faintly on the ceremonial platform, and she could feel the eyes of the entire assembly on her. Every being present seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the next move. She realized that the ceremony was far from over. The symbolic act of removing her crest was only the beginning. The council wanted to see how she would respond, not just to the test itself, but to the presence of the dragon beast, their most feared and respected guardian, not an elder member of the council. A being with translucent skin that shimmered like moonlight spoke directly into her mind. The words were calm but firm, resonating with authority. "You have not yet proven your understanding," it said. "The crest is now before the dragon. Tradition requires the beast to test the intentions of the accused. If it senses dishonesty or weakness, the consequences are severe. If it senses clarity and courage, there may yet be honor in your actions." The girl nodded slightly, even though she knew the council could read her thoughts. She didn't need to speak. She had learned long ago that actions often spoke louder than words, especially in moments like this. She focused her mind, recalling everything she had learned about courage, about understanding others, about staying calm in the face of the unknown. It was not an easy task. Fear tried to creep in, whispering doubts and what-ifs, but she pushed it aside. She had come this far, and she knew she could not falter now. The dragon shifted its massive head closer to the crest. Its eyes glowed brighter, scanning the energy within it. The girl watched carefully, noticing the subtle changes in its posture. Its wings twitched slightly, and the scales along its neck shimmered in a pattern that seemed almost like a heartbeat. She realized that the creature was not just observing the crest, it was observing her too. Somehow it was testing her, not for strength or aggression, but for something deeper. It wanted to know who she truly was, beyond the surface, beyond the fear, beyond the uncertainty. Slowly, she reached out her hands again, this time directing her thoughts and feelings toward the dragon. She did not try to control it, nor did she attempt to impress it. Instead, she focused on honesty. She sent a wave of emotion, respect for the creature, acknowledgement of its strength, and a desire to understand it, not to fight it. She could feel her energy intertwining with the dragon's, a subtle connection that was almost imperceptible to anyone else in the room. The dragon paused, its massive head hovering just above the crest. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, very slowly, it lowered its head until its snout gently touched the glowing object. The crest pulsed with light, brighter than it had been before, and the girl felt a strange warmth spread through her chest. She realized that the dragon was not destroying the crest as expected. Instead, it was accepting it, acknowledging it, recognizing the integrity behind it. Gasps echoed through the chamber, though they were quiet, almost controlled. The council had never witnessed anything like this. Never had a human, of all beings, interacted with their dragon in such a direct and meaningful way. Some members whispered among themselves, exchanging astonished glances. They had expected a spectacle of fear and punishment, a demonstration of the council's authority and the dragon's power. Instead, they saw something entirely new: understanding, courage, and a connection that transcended species and tradition. The girl felt a surge of confidence. She realized that the symbolic act, the ceremony that had seemed so intimidating, was transforming into something entirely different. It was no longer about punishment. It was a test of empathy, intelligence, and the ability to connect with beings far beyond her own world. She understood that the council had designed this challenge to see who could rise above fear and prejudice, to see who could bridge the gaps between species and cultures in a way that was almost impossible. With each passing moment, she felt more in tune with the dragon. It was as if they were speaking to each other without words, sharing thoughts and feelings through something deeper, something beyond language. She sensed curiosity in the dragon, and she returned it with calm confidence. She was not here to dominate, nor was she here to beg for mercy. She was here to demonstrate understanding, to show that humans, too, could communicate and connect in ways that others might not expect. The elder member of the council spoke again, its voice calm but carrying weight. The dragon senses truth. It senses courage. If it deems your intentions honest, the ceremony may end without dishonor. But be warned, any sign of weakness, hesitation, or falsehood will have consequences. The girl took a deep breath, steadying herself. She thought of all the challenges she had faced in her life, the times when others had doubted her, the moments when she had been underestimated, the moments when she had been alone. None of those challenges compared to this, yet she understood something essential. Fear was natural, but it was not absolute. Courage was not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. And connection, true connection, could overcome barriers that logic alone could not. She focused again on the dragon, not on the crest or the council, not on the expectations or traditions. She focused on the moment, on the presence of the creature, and on her own clarity. Slowly, she began to sense a change. The dragon's eyes softened, the sharp lines of its scales seemed less rigid, and the subtle vibrations in the air shifted. The warmth in her chest grew stronger, and she realized that she was not just being tested. She was being recognized. Other council members leaned forward slightly, their interest piqued. They could sense the energy in the room, the subtle dance of understanding between a human and the dragon. This was unprecedented. Humans were rarely in positions of such influence within the council's chambers, and none had ever demonstrated this kind of resonance. Whispers spread quietly. Could it be? Is this girl truly? Has she done the impossible? The girl ignored the whispers. She knew they mattered little compared to the connection she felt in that moment. The dragon finally lifted its massive head, its eyes meeting hers. She felt a profound acknowledgement, a silent recognition that she had passed a critical part of the test. The crest remained glowing on the platform, untouched, unharmed. The dragon had accepted it, and through it had accepted her. She felt a wave of relief mixed with exhilaration. It was more than relief. It was a sense of purpose, as if this moment had revealed something she had never known about herself. The elder member of the council nodded slightly, as if confirming an unspoken conclusion. The human demonstrates a rare quality, it said softly into her mind. Not only courage, but understanding. Not only presence, but clarity. She may yet serve as a bridge, a link between species that have long struggled to understand each other. The girl remained in the center of the chamber, taking it all in. She realized that she was at the beginning of something far larger than herself. The ceremony, which had seemed like a moment of judgment and fear, had become an opening, a chance to show that humans were capable of more than anyone had imagined. She was not just a visitor or an outsider. She had become a participant, an important one, in the delicate balance of the galaxy. She looked at the dragon one last time and felt a connection stronger than words could express. It was not a bond of ownership or dominance, but a bond of respect and mutual recognition. She understood that this creature, despite its fearsome appearance, had the ability to sense truth and honesty in a way that transcended species. And she had passed its test, not through power or aggression, but through clarity, calm, and courage. As the ceremony concluded, the girl stepped back, her posture calm, her mind focused. The council members began to speak among themselves, their tone shifting from doubt to curiosity, from skepticism to cautious admiration. The dragon remained close, watching her with an intensity that was now friendly rather than threatening. She realized that she had not only survived the symbolic act, but she had also created a connection that could change everything. For the first time, she felt a sense of belonging in the alien chamber. She was no longer just a human facing judgment. She was a participant in something greater, a being capable of influencing events in ways she had never imagined. And she knew that the journey was far from over. This moment was only the beginning, a turning point that would define her role in the galaxy and set the stage for challenges and discoveries yet to come. She smiled slightly, a quiet, determined smile. Whatever came next, she would face it with courage, clarity, and understanding. The human girl who had been summoned to the council, who had been tested by a dragon, was no longer simply a visitor. She was a symbol of possibility, a bridge between worlds, and a reminder that even in the most alien and intimidating circumstances, a single person could make a difference. After the symbolic ceremony, the girl remained in the chamber, her eyes following the dragon as it shifted gracefully, its massive wings folding and unfolding in the soft glow of the platform lights. The council members were still whispering among themselves, but now their voices carried curiosity rather than judgment. Something unusual had happened, something they had never seen before. A human had connected with their most ancient and feared guardian, not through force or trickery, but through understanding. The girl could feel it. She had changed the atmosphere of the chamber with something far greater than fear or power. Trust. She took a slow breath, trying to calm the lingering tension in her chest. The dragon's gaze followed her every movement, but it was no longer threatening. Instead, there was a sense of cautious curiosity, as if the creature were considering her for something beyond the test. The girl realized that the dragon, for all its size and strength, had its own intelligence, its own sense of awareness. It was not just a beast. It was a being capable of judgment, capable of recognizing truth and courage in ways that even the council sometimes struggled to understand. The elder member of the council, the one with translucent, moonlit skin, addressed her again, this time in a tone that was almost warm. "You have shown courage and honesty," it said. "But there is more to this trial than the ceremonial act. You must demonstrate your ability to understand, to communicate, and to adapt. Only then can your place among us be considered." The girl nodded, although the council could see it in her thoughts. She had learned long ago that acknowledging a challenge was often the first step toward overcoming it. She focused her mind, reminding herself that understanding was not just about intelligence. It was about perception, empathy, and patience. These qualities were rare, and perhaps that was why she had been brought here. Perhaps humans had been underestimated by the galaxy, and this was her chance to show what they could do. The dragon shifted again, lowering its massive head toward the girl, and she felt a shiver run through her spine, not of fear, but of awe. Its scales were warm under the soft lights, and its presence was both comforting and intimidating at the same time. She could sense its thoughts, not in words, but as waves of feeling, curiosity, recognition, even a hint of playfulness. She responded in kind, sending thoughts of calm, respect, and willingness to learn. The connection between them was subtle, but powerful, almost like two musicians playing a silent duet. The council watched intently. Some of them leaned forward, their attention fixed on the human girl and the dragon. They could sense the unique bond forming, and a mixture of astonishment and hope spread through the assembly. Never before had a human interacted with one of their most ancient creatures in such a meaningful way. There was a realization among them that perhaps humans, despite their small size and lack of galactic experience, possessed qualities that could bridge gaps between worlds and species. As she focused on the dragon, the girl noticed that the crest on the platform began to shimmer in a way she had not seen before. It pulsed with energy, almost like it was alive, and she understood that the dragon's acknowledgement of it had changed something fundamental. The crest was not just a symbol anymore. It was a conduit, connecting her to the dragon and, through it, to the council itself. She felt a strange warmth in her chest, a sense of belonging that she had never experienced before. For the first time, she realized that she was not just an outsider being judged. She was becoming part of something larger, something greater than herself. The elder member spoke again, its voice carrying a quiet authority. "The dragon senses potential," it said. "It has never acknowledged a human in this way. There is something unique about your mind, your spirit, and your ability to connect across boundaries. You must continue to demonstrate this ability if you are to have a role among us." The girl felt a surge of determination. She knew that she could not rely on luck or chance. She had to show the council that her connection with the dragon was real, meaningful, and intentional. She focused on her thoughts, clearing away doubts and fear, and sent out a wave of intent toward the creature. She did not demand anything from it, nor did she try to impress it. She simply communicated, "I am here to understand, to learn, and to grow alongside you. I mean no harm." The dragon paused, its massive eyes locking onto hers. She could sense it thinking, feeling, and even questioning. It had never experienced a human like her before, someone small and seemingly fragile, yet filled with clarity and courage. She felt a silent acknowledgement pass between them, a recognition of trust and understanding. The chamber seemed to hold its breath as this quiet exchange took place. The air charged with an energy that was almost tangible. Other council members began to murmur, some of them in surprise, others in admiration. They realized that the girl was doing more than surviving a test. She was redefining it. Her connection with the dragon was proof that intelligence and understanding could take many forms. It was not strength or dominance that mattered most. It was clarity, empathy, and the ability to perceive what others could not. The girl sensed that the dragon was ready to test her further, not with force, but with challenge. It shifted slightly, its massive wings extending to their full span, and the platform beneath the crest glowed brighter. She understood that this was not a threat, but an invitation to demonstrate her ability to adapt, to think creatively, and to communicate beyond words. She felt excitement bubbling within her, mixed with a sense of responsibility. This was more than a test of courage. It was a test of mind, heart, and spirit. She stepped closer to the platform, keeping her movements calm and deliberate. She focused on the crest and the dragon simultaneously, maintaining her connection while also observing every detail of the creature's behavior. Its eyes flickered with patterns she could not name, and she realized that the dragon was sending her signals, guiding her, and waiting to see how she would respond. She reached out, not physically, but with her intent, mirroring its energy and signaling her willingness to cooperate. For what felt like hours, though it was probably only minutes, the girl and the dragon maintained this silent, intense communication. The council observed in awe, some leaning forward, others whispering softly. Never before had a human displayed such ability. The girl could feel her confidence growing, but she also remained humble. She knew that every action mattered, every thought carried weight, and every moment could change the outcome of this trial. Finally, the dragon lowered its head completely to the platform, resting its snout gently against the crest. The glow intensified, casting soft light throughout the chamber. The girl felt a sense of triumph, but it was quiet, internal, not boastful. She had not won through force or cleverness. She had succeeded through understanding, patience, and courage. She realized that this moment was proof that humans, despite their perceived weakness, could achieve extraordinary things through clarity and connection. The elder member of the council nodded slightly, as if confirming what everyone present was beginning to understand. "You have demonstrated more than courage," it said softly into her mind. "You have shown insight, empathy, and a connection that has never been witnessed before. The dragon has acknowledged you, and through it, the council begins to see your potential. Your journey is only beginning, but you have taken a crucial first step." The girl stepped back, her posture calm but alert. She could feel the dragon watching her, still close, still connected, but no longer tense or testing. She understood that she had earned a measure of trust, a bond that could not be easily broken. She looked around the chamber, at the council members and the dragon, and felt a sense of purpose that went beyond survival or approval. She was part of something larger, something important, and she knew that her actions would matter in ways she could not yet predict. As the session came to an end, the girl realized that this experience had changed her fundamentally. She had faced a creature of immense power and intelligence, connected with it, and demonstrated qualities that transcended species and tradition. She had not only survived a trial, she had begun to redefine what it meant to be human in a galaxy that had long underestimated her kind. The dragon lowered its head one last time before moving slightly away from the platform, as if granting her space but remaining near, a silent guardian and witness to her courage. The girl felt a deep sense of calm and anticipation. She had passed the first phase of her test, but she knew there were more challenges ahead. The council had seen her potential, and now the true journey of understanding, communication, and influence would begin. She took a slow, steady breath, feeling the connection with the dragon, the awareness of the council, and the spark of her own courage. She realized that fear could be transformed into strength, that judgment could be transformed into opportunity, and that even in the most alien and intimidating situations, a human could find a place, make a difference, and inspire change. And as she left the ceremonial platform, her mind focused and her heart steady, she knew that her journey had only just begun. The dragon followed, its presence a constant reminder of what was possible, and the council watched, their curiosity growing into respect. The galaxy, she realized, was vast and full of unknowns, but she was ready to face it. Oneness. After the ceremony and the dragon's acknowledgement, the girl felt a mix of relief and anticipation. Relief because she had passed the first challenge and survived the symbolic act of judgment, and anticipation because she sensed that this was only the beginning. The council's chamber was quiet now, but the air was alive with energy. Every being present could feel that something extraordinary was happening. She glanced at the dragon, which was resting nearby, its massive wings folded, but still radiating an almost protective presence. It seemed to be observing her as much as the council was, as if weighing her next moves. The elder member of the council spoke again, its voice calm and deep, echoing in her mind. "The first test has revealed your courage and clarity," it said. "But courage alone is not enough. You must also show understanding, communication, and the ability to adapt. The dragon has acknowledged you, but now you must demonstrate that you can act with purpose, insight, and empathy." The girl nodded, although the council could see her thoughts. She knew that the real test was only beginning. The dragon was not just a guardian. It was a teacher and a gatekeeper. To succeed, she would need to understand not only the creature's behavior, but also the subtle messages it was sending. She focused her mind, pushing aside fear and doubt, and prepared herself to respond to whatever challenge came next. The dragon shifted its massive body, moving closer to her and the platform where the crest lay. Its eyes glowed softly, sending subtle pulses of energy that seemed almost like signals. She realized that the creature was attempting to communicate not with words, but through feelings, images, and vibrations that entered her mind. She had never experienced anything like this before, but she instinctively understood that it required patience, focus, and empathy. She concentrated, opening her mind to receive the messages the dragon was sending. At first, the signals were confusing. She sensed emotions that were complex and layered: curiosity, caution, wisdom, and a hint of playfulness. She had to filter through them carefully, paying attention to the patterns and responding with her own thoughts and feelings. She sent waves of calm, honesty, and respect back to the dragon, letting it know that she was listening and willing to understand. Slowly, the messages began to make sense, and she felt a subtle connection growing stronger with each passing moment. The council watched in silence, fascinated by the exchange. Some members leaned forward, whispering to one another, amazed at what they were witnessing. Never before had a human demonstrated such an ability to communicate with the dragon, let alone understand it on such a deep level. The girl realized that she was breaking barriers that had existed for centuries. She was not just surviving a trial. She was redefining what it meant to be human in this part of the galaxy. The dragon moved closer to the platform, gently nudging the crest with its snout. The glow from the crest intensified, casting a soft, warm light throughout the chamber. The girl sensed that the creature was inviting her to interact with it, to demonstrate her ability to adapt and respond appropriately. She stepped forward, keeping her movements slow and deliberate. She focused on the connection between herself, the dragon, and the crest, understanding that each action she took could influence the outcome of the trial. She reached out with her mind, sending thoughts and feelings of clarity, patience, and respect. She imagined the dragon's energy flowing into hers, and hers flowing back, creating a rhythm of understanding and cooperation. Slowly, she began to feel a shift within the dragon as well. Its massive body relaxed, its eyes softened, and she sensed a growing trust in the way it observed her. She realized that the trial was no longer about proving courage or surviving a test. It was about building a connection, a bond that transcended language and species. The elder member of the council observed closely, its translucent skin shimmering in the soft light. The human demonstrates not only courage, but also insight and empathy, it said. This is rare among your kind. Few have the ability to perceive and respond to the subtle signals of another being so clearly. You are learning not just to survive, but to connect, to understand, and to influence in ways that many beings cannot. The girl felt a surge of determination. She understood that her actions now were shaping the council's perception of humans as a species. She was no longer just an individual facing judgment. She represented the potential for cooperation and understanding between humans and alien species. The weight of responsibility was heavy, but it was not overwhelming. She felt ready, focused, and confident in her ability to respond to the dragon's next signals. The dragon shifted its massive wings slightly, sending a ripple of energy through the chamber. The crest on the platform pulsed in response, and the girl sensed that the creature was testing her adaptability. She had to think quickly, interpreting the signals and responding appropriately. She imagined a conversation, not in words, but in intention and feeling. She sent waves of calm and understanding, acknowledging the dragon's power, intelligence, and wisdom. She also conveyed her willingness to cooperate and learn, to adapt to its expectations without fear or hesitation. The dragon paused, and she could sense it considering her response. Then, in a movement that seemed almost graceful despite its size, it nudged the crest again, this time lifting it slightly into the air. The girl understood that this was a significant gesture. The dragon was giving her an opportunity to take the next step, to demonstrate her ability to act with purpose and insight. She reached out mentally, guiding the energy of the crest back toward herself in a careful, controlled manner. As the crest floated gently, glowing brightly between them, the girl felt a profound sense of connection. She realized that the dragon was teaching her, guiding her through the trial, not by force, but through interaction and understanding. Every movement, every pulse of energy was a lesson in perception, empathy, and adaptation. She responded with focus and clarity, allowing herself to become fully immersed in the moment. The council members watched in awe. Some of them had rarely seen such a display of intelligence and adaptability. They began to whisper among themselves, recognizing that the human girl was demonstrating qualities that could have significant implications for the galaxy. Her ability to connect with the dragon was unprecedented, and it suggested that humans might possess unique traits that could help bridge gaps between species and cultures. The girl felt a quiet sense of pride, tempered by humility. She knew that this was not about proving superiority or gaining favor. It was about understanding, communication, and mutual respect. She continued to guide the crest, maintaining the connection with the dragon while remaining aware of the council's observation. Each moment required concentration, patience, and insight, but she felt increasingly confident in her ability to succeed. The dragon's eyes flickered with what seemed like approval. Its massive body relaxed further, and the girl sensed that she had passed another stage of the trial. The crest remained suspended between them, glowing brightly, a symbol of trust and connection. The elder member of the council spoke again, its voice carrying calm authority. The human demonstrates an extraordinary ability to connect and adapt, it said. You are showing that your kind is capable of understanding and cooperation in ways that have rarely been seen. The dragon acknowledges you, and through it, the council begins to recognize your potential. The girl felt a wave of relief and accomplishment. She had not only survived the symbolic trial, but had begun to build a meaningful connection with one of the galaxy's most powerful creatures. She realized that this connection was more than a personal achievement. It was a bridge between humans and the council, between species that had long struggled to understand each other. She had taken the first steps toward creating a bond that could change perceptions and open new possibilities. As the session continued, she maintained her focus, keeping the connection with the dragon strong while observing the council's reactions. She could sense their growing respect and curiosity, their realization that humans might be capable of contributions that had been overlooked or underestimated. She understood that her role in this trial was not only to survive, but to demonstrate the potential for cooperation, understanding, and influence. Finally, after what felt like hours, but was likely only minutes, the dragon lowered its head completely, resting near the platform as a gesture of acknowledgement. The crest glowed softly, a symbol of the connection they had created. The girl stepped back, her posture calm but alert, knowing that this stage of the trial had been successfully completed. She felt a deep sense of accomplishment and purpose, but also awareness that there were still challenges ahead. The elder member of the council nodded, its voice carrying quiet approval. You have demonstrated understanding, communication, and adaptability, it said. These qualities are rare among humans. You have shown that courage alone is not enough, and that empathy and insight can be equally powerful. The dragon has acknowledged you, and the council begins to see the value in your presence. Your journey is only beginning, but you have taken a crucial step. The girl smiled slightly, a quiet, determined smile. She understood that the trial was far from over, but she had proven her ability to connect, adapt, and understand in ways that few others could. The dragon remained. The girl had passed the initial trials, and the dragon's acknowledgement had given her a sense of calm confidence she had never felt before. Yet she knew that her journey was far from over. The council, vast and ancient, had many ways to test those who came before it. Passing the first stages had proven her courage, clarity, and ability to connect with the dragon. But now it was time to see whether she could take that understanding and turn it into action that mattered. She took a slow, steady breath, feeling the weight of the chamber around her. The walls seemed alive, pulsing with subtle energy, and the council members' eyes followed her every movement. She felt neither fear nor intimidation this time. Instead, a sense of determination filled her. She had learned something valuable, that connection, empathy, and insight could outweigh brute strength or tradition. She had also learned that even beings as powerful as the dragon could sense intention, honesty, and courage. Now it was time to see what else the galaxy had in store. The elder member of the council addressed her once more, its calm voice resonating in her mind. "You have demonstrated courage and understanding," it said. "But now you must show that you can act upon that understanding. The dragon has acknowledged your presence, but your true test lies in influencing outcomes and guiding resolution. Actions taken without thought are meaningless. Can you use insight to affect change, even in the most unusual circumstances?" The girl nodded internally. She understood. This trial was not simply about surviving or impressing the council. It was about proving that she could make choices, think critically, and act with intention. It was about demonstrating that humans were capable of contributing to the galaxy in ways that required more than physical strength. She knew she would need to rely on everything she had learned in her life observation. Intuition, patience, and empathy. The dragon shifted its massive body slightly, folding its wings but keeping them near the platform where her crest still rested. Its eyes glimmered with intelligence and curiosity, almost as if it were challenging her to take the next step. The girl realized that she would need to demonstrate more than calm presence. She would need to respond to signals, anticipate movements, and communicate in ways that were subtle but meaningful. She focused her mind, opening herself to the flow of energy between her, the dragon, and the council. Slowly, she began to understand the nature of the next challenge. The dragon was testing not only her ability to perceive and adapt, but also her decision-making. It sent waves of energy that suggested scenarios, possibilities, and potential consequences. Each pulse required her to think carefully. She could not act hastily. She could not rely on instinct alone. She had to combine empathy with judgment, observation with action, and insight with courage. The council members observed intently, their whispers fading into silence as they watched the unfolding exchange. Some had leaned forward, intrigued by the subtle dialogue between the human and the dragon. Never before had a human shown such capacity to engage in this kind of silent, energetic conversation. The girl realized that she was not only participating in the trial, but also teaching the council something new, that understanding and action could coexist, even across species and worlds. The dragon moved closer to the platform, gently nudging the crest with its snout. The glow of the crest brightened in response, casting a warm light across the chamber. She sensed that this was her moment. The creature was inviting her to act, to demonstrate that her understanding could lead to meaningful results. She stepped forward carefully, her movements deliberate but unhurried, showing that she was confident and aware. She focused her mind, sending waves of thought and intention toward the dragon, acknowledging its intelligence, strength, and guidance. As she connected with the dragon, she began to anticipate its subtle cues. Its eyes flickered in certain patterns, its body shifted slightly, and small pulses of energy radiated from it. Each signal was a guide, a suggestion of what the next appropriate action should be. She followed them carefully, aligning her intentions with its guidance while maintaining her own clarity and calm. She realized that this was not about submission or obedience. It was about cooperation and shared understanding. The crest hovered gently between her and the dragon, glowing softly, a symbol of trust and connection. She could feel the energy of the council members around her, but it did not distract her. Instead, she drew strength from their observation, knowing that they were witnessing something extraordinary. This was not a show of power or dominance. It was a demonstration of the potential for humans to act with insight and empathy. Even in a galaxy full of beings who had underestimated them, the dragon nudged the crest again, and she interpreted it as a test of focus and adaptability. She adjusted her approach, sending mental waves of clarity, calm, and understanding. She imagined the consequences of her actions, anticipating the reactions of both the dragon and the council. She realized that this stage of the trial was about foresight, the ability to understand the ripple effects of one's decisions and act in a way that would lead to harmony rather than conflict. Council members were silent, watching her every move with increasing interest. They could sense the intelligence and empathy in her actions, qualities that were rare among humans and almost unheard of in such a young individual. She realized that her behavior was not only shaping their perception of her, but also challenging long-held assumptions about humans and their potential. Her ability to act with intention, to communicate beyond words, and to anticipate outcomes was creating a bridge of understanding between species and cultures that had often struggled to cooperate. The dragon lowered its massive head, allowing the crest to float gently between them. She reached out mentally, guiding it toward herself in a smooth, controlled manner. The glow brightened, illuminating her face and highlighting the subtle expressions of focus and determination. She could feel the dragon responding to her energy, adjusting its own signals and engaging in a silent, mutual dialogue. This was no longer just a test, it was a partnership, a shared understanding that transcended language and tradition. The elder member of the council observed carefully, noting the precision, empathy, and insight in her actions. The human demonstrates the ability to act with understanding and foresight, it said quietly. She is learning to influence outcomes not through force, but through insight, connection, and cooperation. This is rare among humans and unprecedented in its clarity. The dragon acknowledges her, and the council begins to see her potential as a bridge between beings and worlds. The girl felt a deep sense of accomplishment, tempered by awareness that there was still more to learn. She had passed a significant stage of the trial, but she knew that each step forward required vigilance, focus, and humility. The dragon remained near, a silent companion and guide, reinforcing the bond they had built. She realized that she was being prepared for a greater purpose, one that involved not just surviving or impressing, but creating understanding, fostering cooperation, and shaping outcomes through clarity and empathy. As the session continued, she maintained the connection with the dragon while remaining mindful of the council's observation. Each movement, each thought, and each wave of intention mattered. She felt herself growing more confident, more attuned to the signals and subtle cues, and more capable of acting with precision and purpose. She understood that this trial was as much about internal growth as it was about external demonstration. She was learning to trust herself, to trust her instincts, and to trust the connections she had created. Finally, the dragon nudged the crest one last time, lowering it gently to the platform. Its eyes met hers, conveying acknowledgement and approval. The glow of the crest softened, symbolizing the completion of this stage of the trial. The girl stepped back, her posture calm but alert, and she felt a profound sense of purpose. She had demonstrated understanding, adaptability, and the ability to act with insight, earning the dragon's respect and reinforcing her place in the council's consideration. The elder member of the council spoke once more, its tone carrying quiet approval. "You have shown remarkable ability to understand, act, and influence," it said. "You are proving that humans possess qualities that can bridge gaps, create understanding, and foster cooperation. The dragon acknowledges your insight, and the council recognizes your potential. Your journey continues, but you have passed an important and unprecedented stage." The girl smiled slightly, a quiet, determined smile. She understood that the challenges ahead would be even greater, but she felt ready. Courage, insight, empathy, and clarity had carried her this far, and she knew that these qualities would guide her through whatever came next. The dragon followed closely, a silent and powerful companion, and the council watched, their expectations transformed into curiosity and respect. She felt a quiet confidence that, whatever challenges awaited, she had the ability to meet them with clarity, understanding, and purpose. As she left the platform, She reflected on the lessons she had learned. The trial had tested not only her courage, but also her ability to connect, adapt, and influence. She realized that understanding was as important as action, and empathy was as powerful as strength. She had begun to demonstrate the potential of humans to act as bridges in. The girl had come far. Each stage of the trial had tested her courage, her understanding, and her ability to connect across worlds and species. She had faced judgment, fear, and the immense presence of the dragon, yet she had emerged with clarity, calm, and purpose. Now, as the final stage approached, she felt a mixture of anticipation and quiet determination. She knew that this part of the journey would be the culmination of everything she had learned so far. Every moment of courage, empathy, and insight would be called upon once more. The council's chamber was still, the air thick with expectation. The dragon rested near the platform, its massive body relaxed but alert. Its eyes glimmered with intelligence and curiosity, reflecting the soft light of the crest still hovering gently between them. The council members were silent, their attention fixed entirely on her. She could feel their judgment, but it was no longer intimidating. Instead, it was a challenge she welcomed, to demonstrate that she could act with wisdom, integrity, and insight in the face of the final trial. The elder member of the council addressed her, its voice calm but carrying authority. "You have demonstrated courage, understanding, and adaptability," it said. "You have built a connection with the dragon, a being that few can influence or understand. But now you must show that your insight can lead to meaningful action. You must face a challenge that tests not only your mind and heart, but your ability to create resolution. This is the final stage of your trial." The girl took a deep, steadying breath. She had learned much from the previous stages, that fear could be transformed into courage, that judgment could be met with understanding, and that connection could transcend species and culture. She knew that this final trial would demand all of these qualities, combined with clarity of thought and precision of action. She focused her mind, centering herself in the chamber and opening herself to the signals and presence of the dragon. The dragon shifted, its massive wings slightly, sending subtle pulses of energy through the room. The girl sensed a pattern in its movements, a rhythm that hinted at the nature of the challenge ahead. It was not threatening, but it required her full attention and engagement. She allowed herself to feel the energy of the chamber, of the dragon, and of the council, aligning herself with their presence while maintaining her own clarity. Slowly, the dragon nudged the crest toward her. She understood immediately that this was symbolic, a final opportunity to demonstrate her ability to act with purpose and insight. She focused on the energy of the crest, imagining it as a bridge connecting her to the dragon, and through it to the council. She reached out with her mind, sending waves of clarity, honesty, and intention. She did not command the dragon, nor did she seek to impress the council. Instead, she allowed her understanding, empathy, and courage to guide her actions. The crest pulsed with light as she focused, responding to the alignment of her thoughts and the dragon's signals. She could feel the council observing, their collective consciousness curious and alert. Some members leaned forward, their expressions reflecting awe and cautious admiration. They had never seen a human demonstrate such skill, insight, and presence. It was clear that she was not only passing the trial, but reshaping the expectations of what a human could do in this environment. The dragon moved closer, its massive head lowering near the crest. The girl sensed that it was testing her once more, not for courage, not for understanding, but for wisdom. It was asking her to make choices, to act in a way that demonstrated foresight and consideration. She understood that the final trial was not about reaction, but about creation, creating resolution, demonstrating balance, and showing that she could influence outcomes positively. She focused her mind, sending a mental projection of calm, respect, and clarity. She imagined guiding the crest gently, symbolizing a resolution that honored both the dragon and the council. She visualized the energy flowing smoothly, without conflict or disruption, and felt the dragon's response shift accordingly. It was subtle, a wave of warmth and acknowledgement, but it confirmed that she was aligned with its expectations. The council watched silently, sensing the energy exchange between the girl and the dragon. They could feel the precision, insight, and empathy in her actions, qualities that were rare and powerful. The girl realized that this final stage was more than a test of skill. It was a demonstration of integrity, patience, and the ability to harmonize intentions across beings and worlds. Each choice she made now reflected not just her own judgment, but the potential for cooperation and understanding in a galaxy often divided by fear and misunderstanding. Slowly, she allowed the crest to float gently back toward the dragon, maintaining the connection she had cultivated. The dragon's eyes glimmered with acknowledgement, as she felt the subtle shift in energy that signaled success. She did not rejoice or celebrate outwardly. Instead, she allowed herself a quiet sense of satisfaction, knowing that her actions had demonstrated the qualities the council sought: courage, empathy, understanding, and wisdom. The elder member of the council spoke again, its voice resonating in her mind. "You have completed the trial," it said. "You have demonstrated courage, insight, and adaptability. You have built a connection with a being that few can influence. You have acted with wisdom, integrity, and intention. The council acknowledges your achievement and recognizes your potential to contribute meaningfully across species and worlds." The girl felt a wave of relief and accomplishment. She had faced judgment, fear, and challenge at every stage, yet she had remained true to herself and her understanding. She had proven that humans, despite their size and lack of galactic power, could act with clarity, empathy, and wisdom. The dragon moved closer to her, its massive head lowering gently, a gesture of acknowledgement and respect. She reached out mentally, sending waves of gratitude and mutual understanding, and she sensed the creature's recognition in response. The council members leaned forward slightly, their whispers turning to quiet conversation. They were astonished by what they had witnessed: a human girl navigating trials designed to test courage, connection, and adaptability, and succeeding in a way that was unprecedented. Their expressions reflected a mixture of curiosity, respect, and perhaps even hope. This trial had not only tested her, but had also expanded the council's perception of what humans could accomplish. The girl took a step back from the platform, her posture calm and steady. She felt the dragon's presence close by, a silent companion and witness to her journey. She reflected on the lessons she had learned, that courage is most powerful when guided by understanding, that connection can transcend fear, and that empathy combined with clarity can influence even the most powerful beings. She realized that the trial had been less about proving herself, and more about discovering the potential that had always been within her. The elder member of the council spoke one final time. "You have demonstrated qualities that are rare and remarkable," it said. "Your courage, empathy, insight, and ability to create understanding have been proven. The dragon acknowledges you, and through it, the council recognizes the value of your presence. You have completed this trial, but your journey is only beginning. Use what you have learned wisely and continue to act with clarity, compassion, and courage." The girl felt a quiet determination rise within her. She understood that this was not the end, but a new beginning. The trials had taught her about courage, empathy, understanding, and the power of connection. They had shown her that humans could influence outcomes and create harmony in ways that others might not expect. She knew that she would carry these lessons forward, using them to navigate challenges, build relationships, and inspire understanding across worlds. The dragon lowered its massive head one last time, resting near the crest. Its eyes met hers, conveying acknowledgement, respect, and a subtle invitation to continue the connection they had formed. She sent a wave of gratitude in return, understanding that this bond was more than symbolic. It was a partnership, a reminder that courage, empathy, and understanding could coexist and create meaningful impact. As she stepped away from the platform, the council members began to murmur, their tones shifting from curiosity to respect. They recognized the extraordinary nature of what had occurred. A human girl navigating trials that challenged courage, insight, and adaptability, forming a unique bond with the galaxy's most formidable guardian. She had not only succeeded in the trial, but had also changed the perception of humans in the council's eyes. The girl felt a sense of peace and accomplishment. She knew that the journey ahead would be filled with challenges, but she also knew that she had proven her ability to face them with courage, clarity, and empathy. The dragon followed her closely, a silent reminder of the lessons she had learned and the connections she had forged. The council watched, their expectations transformed into respect and cautious hope. She took a deep breath, feeling the energy of the chamber, the presence of the dragon, and the acknowledgement of the council. She understood that this moment was not just the conclusion of a trial, but the beginning of something far greater, a journey of understanding, connection, and meaningful action across worlds. She was ready. With her mind clear and her heart steady, she stepped forward, prepared to face the future, knowing that courage, empath,